Good day, it's Tuesday, June 9th. It's 5 p.m. Central. Much love to everyone who's coming on. You know what we're doing. We're having conversations. We're having much needed conversations. We're having conversations to learn, to grow. We're having conversations as a form of therapy. And we're having conversations to evolve as a people. Because it's necessary. It's very, very necessary. Trying times, yes, but times that I know that we will overcome. I'm confident in that, and I'm confident if we take the time to listen to each other and really listen, not with our ears only, but with our hearts, I think that great things can happen. I'm very excited to have Andy Dooley, a brother of mine, to be joining in our conversation today. He's going to be on shortly, and I will add him in. He'll do a proper introduction of himself. But Andy and I have known each other for, I want to say, a good 3+ years now. Awesome young man, and he's a fantastic man of God, a good friend, and a person who I'm very excited for him to share his story, his interactions, and his feelings as it pertains to everything that we're going through today. So I'm going to give him a moment to log on and to request himself, and then we're going to... Happy Tuesday to you and yours, wherever you guys may be in the world. Andy, what's up, my brother?
What's up, bro?
How you doing, man?
Great, man. It's a pleasure to hop on here with you and have a conversation.
Yo, I'm super excited for you to share your story, your instances, your feelings, all of that good stuff as we just have this candid conversation. And like I've done with the several conversations we've had in the past, I turned off the comments. I want you to feel comfortable. I want to feel comfortable myself, and I just want to share in dialogue the way we normally would behind closed doors. You know, I think
Absolutely.
there's definitely a lot that people can learn from our stories. In case they didn't know, well, now they'll have no excuse. So have you on, man. Thanks for making that time, brother.
No problem. I think it's great. Like I mentioned earlier, I think I've received a lot of text messages, a lot of DMs of friends just saying, hey, I'm with you. I'm sorry. Different little things, which I can understand their heart, where it's coming from. However, they're also confused. They don't know where to start. They don't know where to take the necessary steps to actually help. And so the best part for them is to listen, learn, then locomote. Like at this moment in time, it's like, start listening instead of just watching fly by, like, oh, and it's so easy for us if we don't relate to whatever the news is, whatever is being spoke about, and it doesn't pertain to us, then you don't necessarily digest it. But now is the time for you to digest what's out there. If you really want to help, if you really want to go from confusion to actually knowing something and taking the necessary steps, you need to listen.
Yeah, absolutely. You hit that on the head, man. Before we just kind of get into everything, basically, those who are not familiar with you and have not had the chance to know who you are, if you could just kind of share some quick background notes on yourself.
Yeah. I was born in Hawaii. I grew up in Ohio. I'm a Buckeye through and through. Played college football at Miami of Ohio. My mom and dad, my mom's from Trinidad, so I'm half Trinidadian and black. My dad's in the military. They're both pastors. They, grew me up in a very disciplined home. They didn't have the rein so tight where it's crazy. You're like, oh my gosh, a pastor in the military, that would be crazy.
Yeah. Straight discipline.
Straight discipline. But I'm thankful for how they raised me. Went on to play college football. From there, was going to do the NFL, but God spoke to me and told me not to go that direction. I'm glad I didn't, because I was able to save my body and then get into fitness, and I started personal training. And I had a unique situation. I started off training an MLB player. That was my first client.
Oh, is that right?
Yeah, and he'll tell you, David Justice. I was like, I used to work at Verizon Wireless, and I used to help him and his wife out all the time. And I was their go-to guy. And then I told them, I'm like, hey, you know what? I'm going to get into personal training. I'm going to leave Verizon. And he was like, well, let me be your first trainer, because in baseball, they didn't teach us how to work out.
Yeah. There you go.
Right. So I had a very skewed version of personal training because that started, and I had like great connections at first, and then I saw the reality of the grind after I was done with them, and then trained, did group training, and then we met during the face of Reebok when I went through that whole process and became the face of Reebok. And I think that was the same year you became Men's Health.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, 2016. I think it was right after. Yep.
Yes. So I was right after, right?
Like I was right after. You were before.
You were right after me. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. So became the face of Reebok in 2016. And from that point on, contributed at Men's Health. Also, have been just helping out different celebrity clientele, everybody who I just have a huge heart for people. I want to help people holistically, not just physical fitness or just writing them something here, follow. I want to teach people how to eat, teach people how to train, and so it's a lifestyle. Indeed. And so I've also been a youth pastor at I was a youth pastor in California and in North Carolina, and I just finished writing a book a year ago called Walk in Faith. It's a devotional, which has been great. It's in all the bookstores and all on Amazon. It's been awesome. So my pillars is faith, family, and fitness, and that's what I stand by. And I just inspire and motivate by love.
Yeah, I love it. I love it. And then don't forget, we just have a new addition to the crew.
Yeah.
Family.
Yes, I am a dad of 4.
That's right.
I'm married to a beautiful woman named Tiffany Dooley. She's amazing, such a strong woman. I have a whole different respect for watching babies being brought to this world, so so yeah, I just had a baby 2 weeks ago. So I'm on that no sleep life right now.
Indeed, man. Hashtag no sleep life.
No sleep life.
I'll leave that hard work to you, my friend. No, thanks for sharing that background, man. I think it's very important for people to know who you are, where you came from, a little bit about your background. Of course, your story is much deeper than that, but at least they will have some understanding of where you came from and why you feel the way you feel, say what you say, understanding, your history. For those who don't know me, my name is Gideon Akande. I'm a fitness and wellness coach in Chicago. I played sports in college. Currently, I'm a personal trainer. I also teach group fitness classes, whether it be in person through Shadowbox in Chicago or online, motivating and inspiring people through athletic movement and just fitness. So that's a quick synopsis of who I am and what I do. And of course, the last 8, 9, 10 days or so, I've just been having people of color, Black people specifically, that I appreciate, that I know, that I love, just to have this dialogue and to share our thoughts and feelings on the current climate in America. So let's just cut right to it. Dooley. So
yes, sir.
You've been feeling, man, the last 2 weeks, 2.5 weeks, 3 weeks, 1 month. Just share your sentiment and just what's been on your heart, in your mind, the last however long.
Yeah, this is real, raw, and uncut right now in the sense of, it's been tough, and tough in the sense of I needed to, take a moment and really think about it, because I didn't want to be someone that was reactionary. I didn't want to just react. I just want to respond. Oh, sorry, Deuce, come out, please. My son, 1 of the 4. Hey, Deuce, go out there, please. No. Babe, thank you. Sorry, it's wrong.
Right. That's the future right there.
That is the future. That's what it's like. Can you shut the door, buddy? Right now. Thank you. Yeah, like I was saying, I didn't want to be one who reacted, because reactionary is like, so selfish, to be honest. And I understand, but I went through so many emotions, from angry to saddened to numb. Like, where I was numb in the sense of like, I've grew up in this. Like, this has literally been my life. So in the sense of, even from 5th grade as a little kid, being one that goes through so much racism, that I've gotten numb to the fact that this is really bad.
Wow.
And I don't know, it's like, I think the George Floyd thing was like the tipping point for so many people.
Mm.
Like Pac said, man, it's like one of these things where if I'm starving and I'm hungry and I come to your door, I'm going to ask to come in.
Mm.
Politely, I'm going to ask. I'm going to knock. But if you don't come to the door, I'm going to knock a little harder. Open up the door, please. I need to come in.
Mm.
If you don't come to the door, now I'm going to bang on your door, kick on the door. Hey, I'm starving. I'm hungry. Let me in. If you still don't do it, now I'm picking the lock, coming through, blasting, like all, like no thoughts. I'm just done, fed up. That's where a lot of people are at right now.
Yeah, man.
That's where a lot of people are, and they're just upset. They just can't take it anymore. And like I was watching online, this older gentleman, he's like 45.
Okay.
There was a 32-year-old guy, and then there was a 16-year-old kid. The 16-year-old kid is...
I saw that one.
You saw that, right?
Saw that.
And the 32-year-old guy is trying to, like, talk to him like, yo, you can't do this. This is not how we need to go about this. 45-year-old guy is, like, done. Because he's lived this all his life, and it's just too much to bear. And he's just like, you know what? I'm willing to die for this right now. And you could tell when he said it, it wasn't like some cliche rapper saying stuff like that to try to sound cool. He really is willing to die for this right now. And I feel like that's a lot of people in this point. That's where people are at right now. And I've went through those emotions of like those feelings. Yeah. And I've had to sit back and be like, Lord, I need you to check my spirit. Where am I at with this? Because I know I have a platform and I have people that are listening, and I want to empower and help people. However, if you haven't said anything or showed interest by now, you've took a stance. And I'm not coercing anyone saying you need to stand up and speak out. There's so many different lanes you could make a stance through. Silently behind closed doors, but you're like on YouTube watching all the Black Lives Matters things and letting the different ads run so YouTube could pay towards these different, different places, audiences. But if you haven't said anything because you're worried about what other people may say or think, that is the worst stance to be on. Like you literally placed yourself in a different place, because at the end of the day, black or white, whatever, George Floyd was a human being. That was a man. That was a human person that we watched go from life to death within 10 minutes and get treated unfairly when you're supposed to be protected.
You know what? I'm going to interrupt you real quick because I want to play devil's advocate in this situation.
Yes.
And you said that you need to be showing that you're an ally, essentially, that you need to be standing up and voicing that these are atrocities committed against black people. Why do I need to do that? Like, why do I can say and love all people. Why do I need to be out protesting? Why do I need to be posting on social media? Why do I need to be doing all this research? Like, I love all people. That, I treat everybody fairly. I don't look at anybody. I don't see color. All of that stuff. Do you have a response to that? How does that make you feel when you hear that?
When I hear it, I say you have a sphere of influence. It could be 2 people, 1 people, your family. You have some type of sphere of influence. You can impact 1 person. You never know if that 1 person will be the spark to impact millions of people. But if you choose to be silent and say nothing and show no diplomacy, that's gonna say that you agree with what's going on. You don't have empathy or a heart to step out to say, hey, that's not right. There's right and there's wrong. At the end of the day, we know how to decipher right or wrong.
Yeah.
We're not a baby. I have a newborn, so I know that newborn doesn't know what right or wrong is. She doesn't know what right or wrong is, so she gets a pass.
Yeah.
But if you're a grown person, you know what right or wrong is. And it's now past Black Lives Matter, black people. It's right or wrong. That was a black man. There are black people that are being mistreated every single day. And, you know, with the rebuttals of all lives matter, which I won't go into.
Yeah.
That is just, this is the situation at hand right now.
Mm.
And if you have a heart and you're empathetic, you're going to be able to sit back and say, yo, that's not right.
I like the way you put that. If you feel whatever way you feel regarding the Black Lives Matter movement, disregard that and think of it as a right or wrong stance.
Yeah.
Should a person or group of people be viewed as inferior? Yes or no? Should a group of people have a system, housing system, educational system, opportunity to acquire business loan system, financial system? Should a group of people have a system that works against them? Yes or no? Like, are these things right? Or literally ask yourself those questions. And if for some reason using the term Black people muddles it for you, just say, should a group of people, should my group of people, whatever group you belong, be systematically oppressed, or should have the history that America has had towards Black people? And if you can say, yes, that's fine, or yes, that's appropriate, or yes, that's right, well, then I disagree with you, but at least you've taken a stance on it. But don't be blind to what it is. Don't hide behind silence. See that it's a right or wrong issue and decide to confidently and boldly stand with what's right, is the way I feel.
Yeah, because the silence right now is so deafening. It's louder than the loudest thing you could think of.
Yeah.
It's louder than radar, sonar. You know what I mean? Like, that silence literally is just, it makes you uncomfortable. But what's crazy is that uncomfortability should produce movement. Like, when you're uncomfortable, you can't just stay in one place. Like, when you're uncomfortable, you're just like, it creates movement.
Yeah.
Right? So if you're uncomfortable in this situation, that should create movement, but it's on you to pick the direction you're going to move towards. And like you said, even if it's like something we don't agree with, I can deal with that. I disagree with it, but I can be like, okay, you know what? That's where you stand. So I know where you stand in my eyes. It's hot or cold. Lukewarm's gross.
Yeah, you just spit out.
At least I know you're hot tea over there. All right, cool. Not for me, but you're over there. And then cold, I understand. Cool. But if you're in this neutral stance, it can't be that way. And this is the time. This is the time. Because it's funny. Like, people are like, man, racism is getting so bad. No, it's not. It's been this way. We're able to pull it out of our pockets now and put our cameras out and show you that this is what's going on. The grotesque stuff that's been going on behind closed doors that you haven't seen, that so many of us have seen, and so many of us haven't even seen. We see those lists of all those different people who were killed. Imagine a list of people we don't know that were killed.
Wow. Wow.
So it's very tough for me right now to hear someone say, well, I'm worried that people are going to get upset at me, or they're going to be mad, or how they're going to view me. You realize this is our daily? This is what we deal with on a daily basis. I was just at the grocery store yesterday with my wife. We're like coming out of our house because my mother-in-law's here, and we're like, date night, go to the grocery store. Because we haven't been able to step out of the house by ourselves.
Yeah.
But we go to the grocery store. We're walking around, perusing, getting food. And then our cart is sitting right in one spot. Now there's traffic coming this way. Our cart's here. I'm getting bread. She's getting some type of sauce. This lady comes around, older white lady, with her cart, and she pushes our cart with her cart. and she didn't see me behind her.
Mm.
And I was like, ma'am, that was extremely rude. So she was startled, and she like turned around and looked at me, and she saw me, and then she scoffed like, and continued pushing the cart and trying to go around everything. So I started like, I grabbed the cart, and then I started following her, and I'm like, no, stop.
Wait, why?
Why? Because I felt like I was reacting.
Mm.
I felt like I was going to react because I'm already on edge right now.
Mm.
And I'm looking at her. I'm like, I saw you did it. I said something to you. You looked at me as like I was trash.
Mm.
The way she looked at me when I said something and then scoffed about and kept on doing it.
Yeah.
And I said, ma'am, excuse me, ma'am. And she would not respond. And she just kept on going.
Yeah. So it's that situation upsets me for a number of reasons, because I put myself in your shoes, right? And I'm thinking like in my Chicago, in my neighborhood, in my grocery store, etc. What would it be like in my city? I like to stay cool tempered, but don't get me wrong, people push your buttons, or you're having a bad day or whatever that is. But oftentimes as a black man, you're not entitled to have a bad day. So my thought was, if I was following an older white lady who just rammed my cart, and she says anything to the effect of, this guy is harassing me, this guy is stalking me, this guy is bothering me, they're not asking me what my side of the situation is. This is going to be a knee-jerk reaction. Young black male, older white woman, flip the switch. That's it.
And they're looking at me like, yo, he's 6'4", 240. That's a big black dude walking behind this white old lady.
He must be the aggressor. He must be the aggressor.
He must be the aggressor. This is the daily things we have to like go through the Rolodex of our mind before, in seconds, we're like thinking of all these different things that you can't even necessarily do because of how you'll be perceived.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because everything in me wanted to snatch her wig off, like, yo.
Can't do that.
I can't do that.
Yeah. Nor would you do that.
No.
But at the end of the day, it's like you're being provoked and put in a situation, and then all of a sudden you're going to be considered the angry black man.
For sure. And anyone who knows me knows I'm not an angry person. You know what I mean? I'm such a loving person, but at the end of the day, I'm a real person. And I'm going to always be the kind of person that will go to the horse's mouth if I hear something. If I hear someone say something about me, I'm not going to listen to, oh, Gideon told me you said that. Cool, who said it? Ryan said it? I'm going straight to Ryan. That's just my personality.
Absolutely. And I'm not mad at that. Yeah, and I think the challenge is, some people may be listening to this right now and be like, all right, well, that was just an old lady who was stuck in her ways, or a rude lady. Like, that's just who she is. That's really not white people, right? And I would argue, like, yeah, that probably is the case. But there are so many microaggressions, movements, words, interactions that are like that happen on a regular basis in the life of a black person, that it's hard to separate one bad apple, since that's a term that's being thrown around a lot, one bad apple from a belief system that stems from years, hundreds of years of just repeated offenses against black people. So I know people might be out there saying, like, come on, like, all right, we're really stretching this right now, right? You may argue that. But again, I argue if you were in the situation of a black person and you live daily as a black person who can't change their skin, you would know and experience these microaggressions to be synonymous with life. It's something you just experience on a day-to-day basis that gives you no hope, and it robs you a lot of the joys and the freedoms that we're supposed to be inherently receiving, inherently living.
Yeah, and this is, like I said, I grew up in this. As a little kid, I was the darker one in my family. My mom's more light-skinned, my dad's more light-skinned, my brother's more light-skinned. I'm the darker one. It wasn't until I saw, to be real, it wasn't until I saw Tupac, Michael Jordan, and some of these other black figures who was like more my complexion. Jordan was a little bit darker, but it was still where I was like, oh, that's like me right there. Because I remember vividly in 4th grade, I was in the back of the car because I was just dealing with a situation in school where they're like, I'm like, hey, can I borrow that black marker right there? And they said, use your finger.
Wow.
And I was like, what?
Wow. And
this is like little racial comments like this has happened before. And then
what grade was this?
It's 4th grade. So 4th grade, I'm in the back of the car, and I told my parents about that. And then I leaned my head on the back of the car, and I was sitting there, and I said, why can't I be white? In 4th grade. Trust me, I'm proud to be black. But I'm in 4th grade already dealing with so many of these little issues of oppression that I had to even ask that question.
Wow.
Granted, I was like, you know what? That's crazy. My parents told me, you know, why, and would, you know, bring explanation and light to it.
Yeah.
But I asked that question. And I remember even like that very next year, my brother and I are walking on the street, and we hear this truck behind us, and you hear that sound like doo 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 doo, you know? Didn't know what it was. And they're yelling at us, N-word, get off the street. And then they pull the car around. We had to jump into a ditch. They drove us off the road.
No way.
Walking. Oh, I know, no lie. This is flat out true. 5th grade. So it's like, that's what I'm saying. Like, there are some of us who have been going through this all their lives, but then you also are having to, are you going to be woe is me and get caught up in that and try to fight through it and still be successful? Like, I could have totally been like, I'm going to be an angry black man, this, and that. But that's not going to get you anywhere in life. That's not going to, you're not going to be able to help anybody change or help them find light in the situation and be like, whoa, I didn't know you went through that. That's why this is so good that we have these conversations, so you can peer in a little bit of like some of the different people's lifestyles. Some of us never went through that.
And
they just have
much more too.
It's so much more, way more.
Let me ask you this question, Andy, because I'm thinking of you as a young man. Like, obviously, we hear, well, I know you, but people who are just meeting you for the first time or just listening to you speak for the first time know that, hey, you're a positive man. Like, you have a good outlook. You're a family man. Like, you've gone places, you've done things, and you will continue to. But, I mean, as a young boy, 4th grade, you had this very defeating moment.
Yeah.
Put yourself in your parents' situation right now. How old's your son?
My son is 3.
He's 3. Imagine him a little bit older, and he says the same thing to you right now. Daddy, why can't I be a white boy?
Yeah.
Well, how do you respond to that?
Well, first and foremost, that feeling is heartbreaking. And I'll respond to him like, why would you want to be a white boy? Like, I want to hear his heart. Why would you want that? And he'll share with me and tell me, and I'm going to tell him the beauty of your skin tone, the beauty of your culture, the strength in the culture and who God has created you to be, and how you should be 1,000% proud to be who you are, because you are special. You are created that way for a specific reason. God's going to use you in such a powerful way to impact so many people that person will not be able to reach, because all of us have a sphere of influence, a demographic of people that we're supposed to connect with. Some of us is very micro, some of us is macro level. But if you find yourself doubting who you are, you need to shut that down now, immediately, because the real anointing's on the real you. You find who you really are, and you walk in who you are with your chest up high.
And I believe that 100%. And all those words that you would speak to your son are absolutely true. And all we're asking as a people is that we want the systems to believe in us the same way. We want our neighbors and our non-Black brothers and sisters to look at us the same way that we're supposed to look at you, with beauty, that you are wonderfully and fearfully created. Like, all of those things we are supposed to feel for each other. But if at home is the only support we have, and education tells us otherwise, our job opportunities tell us otherwise, our abilities to build businesses in our own communities tell us otherwise, how strong can we remain when we are beat down time and time again? And that's what we struggle with. And that's why we're fighting so hard to have just an even playing field. And I just this throughout the conversations throughout this week and last week. We're not asking to be catapulted above anybody else. We're not asking to be put on a pedestal above anyone else.
We don't want special treatment.
Not at all.
No.
Not at all. Let me ask you this, Andy. So you also have, well, your father has a military background. Have you talked to him about his experiences in the military?
Oh yeah.
Does he have good things to say about it, bad things to say about it? What's been his experience, and have you seen any interactions from a military standpoint? I'm just curious.
Yeah, he has a combination of both. You can imagine if my dad is 59, you could kind of put where time frame of life. There's been so much positive that he learned out of the military. From discipline to how to be able to persevere, and the mental strength. Yeah. Biggest thing is mental strength that you learn in the military. But then on the flip side, there's also the negatives. And he's dealt with a lot of racism in the military, because at certain points, there's just a lot of free-flowing freedom during those downtimes in the military when you're like, you're away from your family for months in and months out. And he's seen so much, and at the end of the day, you're reminded about everyone's human. You're a human being. I'm a human being. You make mistakes. I make mistakes. No one's perfect. But me growing up as a military kid, being on the PX and on the military base, I saw how, there's so much honor in the military. Yeah. But then what they don't see is like the sneakiness and some of the dark side that resides on the back end of it. That if you're not careful, you can get caught up in it, and it's a camaraderie. Like you get on the wrong person's side and it's over for you.
Gotcha. Yeah. And I'm curious too as well, when it comes to your father's experience as a man who served, what his thoughts are on Kaepernick and kneeling for the flag. I don't know if you have a chance to speak to him about that and what his thoughts are. Because I for the last 3-4 years, since that's been a thing, I've heard multiple sides of the fence, right? You stand for the flag, you honor those who have served. You don't disrespect the flag, you disrespect our soldiers when you do. Other people on the other side is like, the flag does not represent our military. That's not what the flag stands for. The flag is supposed to stand for America and freedom and justice for all. Everyone's created equal. So when we're kneeling, we're not disrespecting service members. We are upset and protesting that America is not standing up to its values. So I'm curious, as a serviceman, your father, what his take is on that, and if you've heard other takes on that action of kneeling.
From my dad's point of view, I've not actually had a conversation specifically dealing with Kaepernick. We was just something that we've never talked about. But I've also heard from other servicemen, who I've heard from both sides. But it was interesting enough, and this is just my experience right now, some servicemen who were appalled at Kaepernick. And then you had some other servicemen who were stating that his stance is not about the military. It's literally about police brutality. He is bringing awareness to police brutality. that we're dealing with today, you know?
Yeah.
So they were able to separate the two. And this stance over here, I've heard them upset, and that's white and black. This stance over here, both white and black. So it's split down the middle. However, looking at it, now you got the NFL recanting their statement like, man, we messed up. Now we understand what Kaepernick was standing for. But he's been trying to tell you that from forever.
2016, 2017.
And you guys blackballed the man from the league. And so, and then it's like, you can understand the argument of, well, you don't want to disrespect our nation's flag. I get it. But that's why, again, you go to the horse's mouth and hear the person's heart. Why are you kneeling down during the national anthem? And he tells you to bring awareness to police brutality, and you feel like you have to do this during the national anthem. This got your attention, right? This is back to the banging on the door. I tried to knock peacefully. I started kicking down the door. Now I got to get your attention. Now I'm picking the lock. So that's Kaepernick's stance. And then him taking that stance was such a bad thing in your eyes.
Yeah. And it's interesting too, because, you know, when you think of our great servicemen and women who have laid their lives down on the line time and time again to afford us the liberties that we have in the United States, those liberties include the right to protest, right? It include the right to state our grievances and the
absolutely
right to peacefully do so. So whether we're protesting, marching down the street, or we're taking a knee, or we're doing any other peaceful protest to bring awareness to incite change, that's what they went out there for, to continue to give us those freedoms and for us to speak those opinions and live a better life. So, you know, while I understand how some people associate the flag with the military, the flag literally has nothing to do with the military. Unless I'm missing something in history, unless I'm missing something in my understanding of how the military works and what the flag is supposed to represent, I don't see a correlation between the two. I just don't. And I don't see disrespect in trying to bring awareness. Now, if somebody wants to educate me on something differently, I'm glad to listen to it, but I just don't agree with it based off of my understanding, especially peacefully done. It's not like he mooned the flag while it was going on. He took a knee peacefully. He didn't put up a middle finger. You know, that'll be a sign of disrespect. He didn't moon the flag. That would be a sign of disrespect. He didn't burn the flag. I can understand that as a sign of disrespect. He took a knee quietly. He didn't talk during the national anthem. He took a knee.
Absolutely. That's what he did. He took a knee.
Yeah. Oh, man. So when we're looking at all that's going on, when we're looking at the protests, when we're looking at the riots and the violence that has come from it, I mean, there's so many videos that are going on social media that you can watch it from now until the end of the world. What is your take on all that's going on, from peaceful protests to rioting and looting, the whole nine? All that.
Yeah, so I've been watching those videos as well, and I see what's crazy is when I saw the George Floyd thing happen, I had posted on my Instagram, and I was like, you must want riots to start. This is before the riots started. I put it on my Instagram because this was so reminiscent of Rodney King. No, but the difference is Rodney King he didn't have his hands behind his back. You know what I'm saying? But it was still reminiscent of it. They was just beating on him. And you saw the uprising after that. Now you have a helpless man lose his life on camera for everyone to see. So I look at the riots, and I do not agree with the looting. I do not agree with that. no matter what, that has nothing to do with what message you're trying to get across.
Mm-hmm.
It's diluting the message.
Mm.
And it's literally taking we're taking our pain and using it for something else that is not helping. However, the protest is beautiful. The peaceful protest videos I've seen have been so beautifully done. They're not causing a ruckus. They're not tearing anybody down. They're not breaking anything. They're not causing violence. But what they are doing is speaking out in a peaceful way and turning a protest into a parade.
Mm.
A parade to show, bring awareness. Like, you see a parade come down the street, you can't help but watch. You're going to watch the parade. And normally what's attached to that parade is some type of highlight of a message. Some type of, whatever it is. If it's July 4th, Thanksgiving parade, there's something attached to it.
Yeah.
We know it's attached to this one. And those peaceful okay, man.
All right, now it's like, yeah, say it again. You said those peaceful protests?
Those peaceful protests are beautiful. And it just hurts my heart to see the looting and stuff. And then I saw this video where they're in Target and a white lady comes in, grabs some stuff, and then she runs out. And I'm like, what are you doing? What are you doing? Like, some people are just taking advantage.
Yeah. Let me ask you this. You don't agree with with the rioting and looting. Do you understand it?
Oh, yes. I understand. It's coming from what I was talking about, that illustration prior. Of now they're fed up. We're kicking down the door. We're coming through blasting. You're going to hear us make noise. The rioting, the looting, it's just people are just fed up. I get it. I get that. So it's not like I don't.
Mm-hmm.
The one thing is just, it's like we have one of the most complex organs in our body that we need to use as Black people. That's our brain.
Mm.
We need to be intelligent about our movements. Our tactics need to be structured.
Mm.
I get it that we're frustrated. But at the end of the day, we give them a chance. It's a trick bag. Okay. I mean, you got cops out there putting bricks in the middle of the street for them to pick up and throw. As soon as it leaves your hand, as soon as they see that brick or a rock leave your hands, now they can do what they want to do to you. I don't want any more people to tragically go down.
Mm.
That's my stance on it. I'm like, I understand the anger and pain. So you know what you need to do is channel that elsewhere. Like, all right, I'm pissed. I'm upset. We need to sit down and hash this out and strategically use our minds, our beautiful brains, and figure out the best way to attack this.
Yeah.
Because in a boxing fight,
uh-huh.
You know, obviously, I boxed, you box. If we're boxing and we're swinging, who's going to win? The one that is throwing crazy punches because they're upset, or is the one who is using the sweet science in boxing?
Mm-hmm.
Who's going to win that fight?
Absolutely. The one that's composed. Yes, sir.
Composed.
Mm-hmm.
Very, very chill. Just very poised, collected, and smart about their movements.
Indeed. As you bring that up, I'm thinking, you know, not again, but I've said this in other conversations. I don't agree with the looting. I don't agree with the rioting, but I understand it.
Yeah.
And I feel it's actually necessary in order for the broader collective, meaning just everyone, to feel like they have some type of skin in the game. And what do I mean by that? If you're protesting, that's great. If you're peaceful protesting, that's fantastic. But if it really doesn't affect me, I may not be as interested. I may not look into what's happening, why it's happening, the history of why it's happening, because it really doesn't affect me. But if it's affecting my neighborhood, the city that I live in, the stores, if traffic is backed up and things are closed down and I can no longer go there, it's been brought to my attention and put in my face because it's disrupted my livelihood. It's disrupted what I would do on a day-to-day basis. So now I can't travel my city freely. Now that the city has curfew, now that I can't go to my favorite store or restaurant, now that I see it on the news everywhere, I have no choice because it's been put in my face to digest what it is, maybe learn from it, maybe grow from it, maybe just continue to turn a blind eye, but you have been forced to actually engage it. Whereas the peaceful protests are, again, the right way to do things, but sometimes there's so many people who stand by the sidelines and continue about their day because it doesn't affect them. And the fact of the matter is, we are a people. And if one of us is affected, we're all affected.
Right.
And this, as it spills out into violence, sadly, unfortunately, but at the same time, it benefits in the sense that we now have to have conversations. So when somebody says something like, I understand Black Lives Matter, but there should be no rioting and looting. Well, let's talk about why there's rioting and looting.
Right.
Rioting and looting because of something that happened. And because of a series of things that happened throughout the course of American history. So now, now we're getting some dialogue going. It may be fiery at first, it may be civil as well, but now the conversation is happening, no matter if it's one way or the other. So, you know, again, I don't want to see people's businesses burn up. I don't get joy from that. I don't want to see anybody struggling or hurting. Like I mean, people work hard their entire lives to get things like this going. So I respect that, and I want everyone to thrive. But at the same time, too, it's like, man, if this doesn't happen,
it's like a necessary evil.
It's a necessary evil. I'm not sure if conversations happen. I'm not sure if demonstrations for the past 2.5 weeks, 2 weeks plus, continue to happen. So it's like a forest fire, right? We don't want to see the animals lose their habitat and, you know, the trees to go down. But at the same time, too, when a forest fire happens, it makes way for new vegetation, for new life to grow and sprout. And it's all part of the circle of life where things come back renewed, they come back stronger, they grow brighter, the whole nine. So it's like, this is a fire. You know, my Aaron kind of broke it down for me and was telling me, and kind of using this analogy, and I'm butchering it right now, but it's a fire that's necessary, that needs to happen in order for new life to resprout. And sometimes the structure of the forest, which is the American system, has been so damaged that it needs to be burned down.
For sure.
It needs to grow brand new. And hopefully we set the foundation so that it can grow stronger and it can be completely revamped, but revamped positively so that we all can benefit.
And that's where the brains need to take place in creating structure for long game instead of short game. Because rioting in history, that gets the attention of the government. So now the government's like, oh, send the National Guards there, send the National Guards there, this and that. We get the attention of the people. We want to get new life going. But then if we don't put in place the correct steps and structure, it'll redo it. We'll be right back here. We'll be right back here. I mean, it wasn't too long ago. I mean, I saw a post that this lady, what is she, 67 years old? And man, I don't want to butcher this. She's like 67 years old, and it wasn't too long ago that she was like the first. I don't want to butcher it, but this is a new cycle that we're in. But now we have it's a different feel of attention on it.
Definitely. Absolutely.
There's a different feel of attention on it, and we need to take advantage of that right now.
I agree. And I think it's one of those things where, you know, there's so much that's happened in our system. And I'm sure there's smart people that are politicians and who have studied political science, and they've studied the history of America, and they know the things that need to be done. But I also feel like there's a lot that's just out there, and it's an overwhelming feeling, an overwhelming sensation, just because there's so much that can be improved on. And I think that we're in a position right now where we have video cameras, we have dialogues like this, we are able to share with the world. You can do Google searches on your own, or you can listen into conversations, you can read, you can watch television and dissect and engage in those ways. But we all have the ability to not only learn from each other, but also to influence each other.
Right.
And before, you know, when you think of the civil rights movement, you're like, okay, we have these handful of African-American leaders, right? And these are the people that are going to lead us to the promised land, if you will. But now everyone has a chance to be a leader in their right. African-American, Black person or not, person of color or not.
Right.
So many people need to be alerted. So many people need to have their eyes open. So many people need to be activated so they can do the work that's necessary so we reach as many people as possible, influence our spheres, a circle of influence, as you mentioned earlier, and
Yeah.
people of influence that have the ability to change things for the better, to change things so that they're right.
Yeah. Why do you think big companies are going to micro influencers now? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
That's literally the steps that we need to take. Your house, it starts with your household, the people you influence the most. You impact that sphere of influence. Every one of those people have a smaller influence as well. And it spreads quicker when we start here. When you try to just go gun-ho like crazy, trying to speak to the masses, falling on deaf ears. They're like, who are you? Who are you talking to me? Who are you saying something to me? We have a platform, our Instagrams, our tribe, our community of people. We need to impact them. We need to educate them. We need to help them learn and those who are willing, feed them.
Yeah.
Feed them with the right stuff. And then maybe even during this time, this is maybe giving you a more poignant, potent direction on how to use your Instagram.
Yeah.
Instead of it just being aesthetic photos. Let you step up and be a leader. If you really want to call yourself an influencer, do leadership things.
Yeah.
Influence people in the right direction. Take the necessary steps to educate yourself to be better. And look at it as like, there's so many regular people out there. They cannot connect with the Photoshop photos. It's not reality to them.
Yeah.
They have real life. They deal with real issues. And for us, we're real people too. So we need to touch those real situations and those real buttons to tap on in their life to help them, because then you can actually create change in their household. Now they're holding a conversation because they heard Gideon talk about this on his Instagram. Did you hear what Gideon said? Did you hear what that conversation they had? Let's take a look at this at their homes. I mean, you got a lot of people watching Instagram, IGTV like it's the new cable. YouTube and IGTV, it's like new cable now. And we can personally impact our influence, our people. If you have 400 people you follow, that's 400 people you can influence. If you have 100,000, that's 100,000 people you can influence. How are you going to use your influence? If you are woke right now and you want to make change, you do whatever you can. The people you know that are positive, and they are going to give you real, straight up input that can help you be able to take it back tangibly and give back to the rest of the people. You go to them and you be that for other people.
Man, along those same lines, it's like, if you felt any way watching the George Floyd video or watching any of the atrocities that have been caught on film, especially against Black people, that is your call to action, right?
Period.
That uncomfortable sensation, that turning of your stomach, that heart beating a little bit faster, that's your call to action. And, you know, when you think about it, you know, we're both in fitness. We tell people to get uncomfortable.
Yes.
We tell people to get uncomfortable because that's when change happens, right? You can't jog 1 mile at the same pace every day and expect for your cardio to improve or for you to have better endurance. Your body that's everything will stay the same. Same thing with what's happening right now. If you believe that racism is wrong, if you believe that hatred is wrong, if you feel like the system is broken in many ways, then you need to say and do something that's going to change it. If you don't, you are encouraging the system to stay the same. You're encouraging the status quo. So if you felt uncomfortable listening to our conversations, if you felt uncomfortable watching videos, seeing protests, seeing riots, if any of this bothered you, then that's your responsibility and your call to action to change and do something. Read more, watch more, listen more, feel more, hear more, and then do more.
Period.
You just have to. Otherwise, what's your value as a human?
Hello. Because
what's your value as
what's your value?
If you do not take the necessary steps to protect the people next to you, if you don't show that you have the love within your heart to do something for the person next to you, regardless of if they can pay you back, regardless of what your relationship to them is, what is your value as a human if you don't care for someone else?
Right.
I mean, I would argue there's not much.
Right. I would too. And I mean, you know what? If you didn't care before and you were only the type of person that, yo, this is trending, Ahmaud Arbery, we're going to run for his birthday. We're going to jump on this and jump on that train. And if you only arrived here in this moment because it was trending, take advantage of it.
Hey.
Take advantage of it and actually let it be real in your life. Let it be real in your life. Like, you know what? I didn't care about it. It didn't affect me. It didn't apply to me. Everyone's talking about this now, so I want to be a part of it. You know what? You got put in a position now that it would be okay for you to say, you know what? I want to learn more. I'm going to listen more. I'm going to research more. I'm going to educate more. And I'm going to educate my kids, my sphere of influence, and other friends so that there can be real change because I'm uncomfortable now.
And it's always been okay. You know, it's always been okay because
it's always been okay.
It's always been okay, but it's even now more okay by society standards. There's more people who are now awakened to the fact that this was never right. There was never a point in history where this was right.
Ever.
A lot of people had the wrong mindset. So if you're now awake, shame on you if you don't continue to wake up others, right? If you're on a team, and we are called the human race, and the alarm is going off, and
you're hitting the snooze. If you keep hitting snooze.
If you're hitting snooze and you're not waking up the people around you, shame on you.
Period.
Shame on you.
And literally that's my stance, bro. Like literally that's my stance. If I see that you're just hitting snooze, I peeped you, I saw you, I watched you, and now I know where you stand. I'm not gonna be rude to you. I'm not gonna be mad, but we have no connection. Because at this point in time, that could be any one of us.
And so to that point too, you got to put the victim, you have to put us in their shoes. If you really care about Andy, if you really care about Gideon, if you really care about whoever it is in your life, it doesn't even have to be, it doesn't have to be a person of color. If you care about anyone in your life.
Right. If it's your dad, your uncle, your brother, your sister.
Would you want that to happen to them?
Right.
If the answer is no, then treat that person, the victims of this systematic oppression, treat your family member, the person you love, like those victims, and act accordingly.
Period. That's it. At the end of the day, like what I mentioned in the beginning, right or wrong, human being. They are human beings. We are human beings. It doesn't matter what shade you are. We're human beings. And if you agree it's right, or if you disagree, if you believe it's wrong, stand up for wrong. Stand up for it.
Right?
It's simple math. It's not calculus. It's simple math.
Andy, we got to close, man, because IGTV is going to kick us off, man. But I love this discussion, brother. And of course,
man.
So, but I have to ask you this question. I ask everyone before we log off, and it is: are you hopeful? You got about a minute.
I'm extremely hopeful. I'm extremely hopeful in that there's a lot of light on the situation right now, and I'm believing and hoping that there will be necessary steps, because you also have the necessary evil of getting attention, and then you have the necessary minds who are going to think we need to think long game.
I love it, man. I love it. Andy, appreciate this conversation, man. Thank you for sharing your insight. I'm sure a lot of people got a lot from it, because I know I got a lot from it. And
same here.
Also just this therapy of being able to voice what's going on in our hearts, in our minds, and just kind of being able to share the Black experience, man. I appreciate you, brother. I love you.
Love you, bro. Appreciate you, man.
Peace to the family, man. Talk to you real soon, bro.
All right.
Yes, sir.
Later.